Welcome to Touch Technology Review. Today, we're going to be talking about all things to do with using music here on YouTube. If you've uploaded a video recently and received a copyright flag, we're going to talk about what you can do to dispute that. And we're also going to talk about what music you can and can't use freely here on YouTube. So first of all, let's talk about what you can and can't do. If you're using music that belongs to another artist, so you've literally taken a track and you've incorporated it in your video and it's the original recording of that artist's music, then it's very likely to be flagged for a copyright restriction. If you're producing and performing a cover of an artist, again, that's owned by a record label, it's a well-known track, it's very likely that's going to be flagged for a copyright restriction. So what does it actually mean when that happens? Well, quite often your video will be able to stay live on YouTube. It really does depend on the restrictions that are claimed by the owner of that copyright and what they would prefer to do when a track is recognized to contain their music. So there's a few options that they have. The first one is that they can allow you to keep your video published and they can request partial or full monetization on the proceeds of your video. So if you are a monetized channel on YouTube, then any proceeds from that video recording will be given to that copyright holder. Now keep in mind, this does not apply to your whole channel. When you get a copyright flag of this nature, it's not going to be a copyright strike on your channel. It's just affecting that particular video that you uploaded, and it's affecting whether it's going to be visible in all regions and whether it's going to be monetized or not. The second option the artist has is to block the video worldwide, and then finally, they could decide to block it in certain regions. So the main issue here is that really, if you are using copyrighted music, you're beholden to the restrictions of the person that has the ownership of that copyrighted material. So for most purposes, you're probably better off not using copyrighted work because you're going to encounter these types of issues. But what if you're producing reaction videos or some kind of commentary, or whether you really need to use that piece of music in order to express your ideas on a particular topic? Well, in that case, you can take the chance, and it depends on the restrictions that have been imposed by the copyright owner as to what's going to happen to your video. So the choice is yours there. Now, you'll probably notice there's a lot of videos on YouTube that contain tracks of well-known artists, and that's because the copyright owners have probably decided to allow the videos to stay online and have claimed some monetization or complete monetization of those videos. And that means that the videos that you're watching of these creators, that those are basically limited in terms of their distribution and monetization. So as long as you're aware of that, it's pretty much okay to use copyrighted music. If you want to avoid that altogether, so if you're producing completely unique content, whether you're doing product reviews, whether you're doing social commentary, whether it's an intro for your videos, a channel trailer, you probably want to avoid copyrighted music altogether in order to avoid dealing with those types of hassles. So if that's the type of creator you are, I would highly encourage that you use the music that's available in the YouTube audio library, and I'll leave a link to that in the description box below. But essentially you can access that in your YouTube Creator Studio. On the left-hand side, there's a section called Audio Library, and there are royalty-free tracks that you can use there that are guaranteed not to be flagged by YouTube's Content ID matching system. So you can rest assured that when you upload a video, you're not going to have to deal with any type of copyright claim. Now, for those of you that want to use your own original composition, this comes back to the issue that I faced with my channel, where I uploaded some unique tracks of music on this brand new channel. They're ambient, they're electronica, and they're completely unique compositions, yet one of them was still flagged with a Content ID match. So I know that in this case, the music is entirely mine. I composed it myself using software-based synthesizers. I also used a hardware synth accompanying them, stacked up multiple layers of sounds to make it very unique, and used my own chord progression without any samples from well-known loop libraries, sample packs, and not sampling any known artists. It's really as unique as you can get as far as a composition goes, yet it still received a Content ID match, which essentially means that that video alone was flagged for a copyright restriction, meaning that it's going to fall into one of those restricted categories. In this case, the artist claimed to monetize the video, so that once my video is eligible for monetization, all of the proceeds from that track are going to go to the other artist, which is completely unfair. So in this case, I'm going to dispute the claim and I'm going to show you how to do it. So if you do upload any music that is completely your own, it's a unique composition, it's original music, and it's unfairly been flagged by the Content ID matching system, don't be surprised if it does happen, because it is quite common. And this will also be the case if you're using sometimes music that you've purchased from sound libraries. Any track, even if you're using iMovie, for example, and you're exporting one of the tracks from the iMovie sound library, anything essentially can come up against this Content ID matching system. So it's definitely not a perfect system. It's AI based. It's really basically comparing the audio waveform in your video against the audio waveform in the audio track that's held by that claimant. If it finds a match, it's going to mark it for a restriction, and then you need to deal with it after the fact, which is what I'm going to show you how to do today. So without any further delay, let's take a look at how to deal with this claim. So when you do this, you'll notice as soon as you upload your video, you'll see a little red mark appear, a check mark appear, telling you that there's some kind of issue with your video. And in this case, it's an audio copyright issue. You can go ahead and publish your video as you normally would, navigate to your video and click on edit. And take a look at the home page of the video. On the left-hand side, you get the video details where you've put your title and description. On the right-hand side, you'll see your video, the visibility, which is public, and just below that, you'll get a section called restrictions. And in that section, it tells me there's a copyright claim on the video. I'm going to click on that. And in the pop-up window, I'm going to click on See Details. At the top, it tells me the channel impact, and that is not affected, as I mentioned earlier. Usually when you're dealing with copyright issues around music, it's not going to affect your whole channel, so that is quite expected. In the next section, the visibility is public, and in the third section along on the right-hand side, it tells me under monetization that my video is ineligible, which is completely unfair given this is a unique music composition of my own and it shouldn't have been matched in the first place. On the left-hand side, we can see that it's picked up some track here, Screen Pilot's Ambient by Moby. Okay, so that is completely wrong. I went and checked on the track and there's absolutely nothing in the claim. There's no similarity in genre, style, compositional structure that I can hear at all. So how can this be? I can only assume it's some kind of algorithmic match on the two audio waveforms, but if you're guided by logic and reason, there is nothing to see here. And put it this way, the case will be thrown out of court. So YouTube or the claimant have clearly got something wrong here, and this indicates that the Content ID system really does need some refining. And then on the right-hand side, it tells you who the copyright owner is and who I'm going to be dealing with in terms of retracting this copyright claim. And I'm going to now click on the Select Action option, and that gives me a few options to deal with this copyright claim. The first one is to trim out the segment, which is not going to be any good for me because I want to keep my music intact, as I should be able to. I can replace the song, or I can mute the song. So if you are producing any other type of video, if you have used a well-known track and you didn't think about it at the time of production and you've already received lots of views in your video, you don't want to take down your video and upload it again, you can use one of these options to deal with it. You can trim out the section where the music appears. You can replace it. When you click on that, you can then select another song within the YouTube library of royalty-free songs to replace that original song with, or you can just choose to mute the song during that section. So that can really help out in many ways for those of you that have used music for only a very small section of your video and you don't mind altering it in some way. Obviously, in this case, this music is mine. It shouldn't have been flagged in the first place. So I'm going to click on the dispute option. And when you do that, you'll see a screen appear that reminds you that the following are not valid reasons to dispute a Content ID claim. That is that I own a copy of the song. So they're trying to tell you there that if I had have purchased that song through my Apple Music library or any other platform and try to upload that within a video, it doesn't mean I can use it on one of my productions. Obviously, that makes sense. The next option is, even if you don't monetize your video, you may still need permission from the copyright owner to use their material. I understand that. And even if you give credits, it still doesn't give you the right to use the music. So I know that none of those apply. That's not the reason I'm disputing. It's actually because my dispute isn't based on any of the reasons above, and I'd still like to dispute the claim. So I'm going to click on that checkbox and continue. And then we get the type of claim, and that is that the original content, the content claimed in my video is my original content, and I own all the rights to it. The next option could be that I have a license, permission to use the content on my video. So that means that you have gone and sought the license to that music by dealing with the copyright owner, and you literally have paid for that music and have the right to use it. And that could also apply if you're using a royalty-free track from a library. So you need to get your documentation ready if that's the case. Fair use, I have significantly transformed this content claimed in my video. The video is protected by fair use, fair dealing, or similar exceptions to copyright. Now that's a really tenuous one. You're very unlikely to win the claim. If you're using a small section of a well-known track, it's still going to be considered a copyright breach, and you're probably not going to get away with it as a fair use item. And the next one is public domain. The content claimed in my video is in the public domain and is no longer protected by copyright. So that's for the situation where you're using tracks that are probably more than 30 or 50 years old. I think it is for anything that is in the public domain. If anyone knows the exact number of years there, comments below, would love to know, but I think it is around 30 to 50 years when the music becomes public domain. So as I mentioned, I'm going to dispute this because it is original content. Click on continue, and then it will basically come up with another screen reminding me that I have to confirm that everything that I have included is mine. Even if you filmed or edited the video yourself, think about whether you included someone else's work. Did you record a TV screen or include any other songs or include other songs? If so, the video isn't entirely your original content. So keep in mind that short uses of music can be subject to copyright. Copyright owners may also have the right to claim your use of their music, even if it's not the focus of your video. So once again, what I was saying earlier, even if it's only a very small section of video, you can't really get this under a fair use claim. And finally, find out more about who claim the content. Musicians are usually represented by companies like record labels and music distributors. You may want to research the company that claimed your video if you don't recognize their name. If it's your song, the distributor you work with may have claimed your video. Before you dispute, review the terms of your contract. Okay, so I'm an independent artist with a self-representation, so I don't have any such contracts. I'm going to go ahead and click on the content claimed in my video is my original creation and doesn't include anyone else's work. Click on continue, and then you'll be required to provide a rationale. And in this case, I'm going to basically type a few lines to let them know that this is an original composition. Next is, please review the statements below and check the boxes to agree. My video does not infringe anyone's copyright. I understand the claimant will be able to review my video and dispute the rationale. So that's why it's very important to explain yourself clearly in the step above so that they fully understand that you have the right to claim your music back. And finally, you need to agree that you understand that filing fraudulent disputes may result in termination of the account. And then in the signature, you just need to put in your details. And once you've done that, you need to wait until you hear back from the copyright owner. So I'll let you know how this claim goes on the channel. I'll either produce a follow-up video with the outcome, or I'll leave some notes on my channel feed once I get a result from this. In the past, I have had to do this before, and there's been a couple of cases where I have successfully retracted the claim and others where they did not respond. So I'll let you know how it goes. Hopefully it works this time. As I said, it's really unfair. This was picked up by the content matching ID system, and I'm certainly going to take it further if they don't retract the claim. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, feel free to hit me up with a like. And if you've got any questions, feel free to put them in the comments box below. See you on the next one. Bye for now.